Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chad from The Right Line. It's Monday, and it's the 17th, and today's a little bit of a maintenance day, and a couple updates I thought I'd just share with you. So, if you've been following the last video we made, we have been struggling with... Oh, get out of the sun. Oh, that's a little better. We had been struggling with a hard start problem with Joe's Jeep. And about 3 weeks ago, we just installed a brand new Delphi fuel pump. What we were noticing was that on startup or on start, just cycling the key, it wouldn't build any pressure until it was actually cranking. And then after a long, hard crank, it would finally have fuel pressure and start. So we were just going to put a new fuel pump in it, but couldn't find one anywhere. We suspected a bad they call a drain back valve on the pump, and as it turns out, all of that is built into the fuel pressure regulator for the Jeep TJ. For this particular one, this is 2001. This is directly on top of the fuel sending unit, and we got a new one yesterday and put it in, and sure enough, boom, solves the problem. It builds fuel pressure. It starts after like a crank and a half. Problem solved. So for us, that was really fortunate. Unfortunately, apparently that particular fuel pump is prone to problem, and it's not available for at least 3 or 4 days. We couldn't get one until at least Wednesday, which wasn't going to work for us because Joe needs to go to work. So anyways, that's what the problem was, and now it seems to start just fine. So today on the agenda, a little bit of a maintenance-y stuff. Decided to do three things. Number one, I've taken out my K&N air filter, and I've washed it, and it's now dry. I'm going to re-oil it and put this back in. This had the Volant performance filter in it, and I wasn't real thrilled with it. To me, it sounded like it was more obstructive than anything else, and it was limiting airflow into the engine, so we're going to oil this and put it back in. I put this in right before we did the Nevada BDR, and it's got some Nevada dust in it. It's got some back way to Crown King dust in it. It's got some rocker knocker dust in it from Payson, and it's got some US 60 dust in it. So it's been a little while since I've done this, but basically you wash this out with the K&N cleaner, and then you let it sit, so it's going to get nice and clean, and then you let it dry naturally, and then you oil it. And what it says in here is you oil each pleat, and then let it sit for 20 minutes, and then check for any inconsistencies in the oil, and then reapply it to make it uniform. I'm going to start at this metal seam right there. That way I know that I am covering everything. Okay, what's happening here? I thought I pulled the... Are you kidding me? All right, I guess they really don't want you to accidentally... All right, let me take care of that. Yeah, this is going to take a while. Okay, I'll be back. I've used K&N in the past. I've had really good luck with them. If you've ever used them in the past and you've had good luck with them, tell me down below what you put it in and how well you liked it. If you didn't like K&N, that's okay too. But the idea is they provide a very good filter for filtration of air going into the engine, and then each pleat is covered with this oil, and the oil is meant to trap dirt and debris in the filter media so that it doesn't go into your engine, dust particles and the like. Good as new. Now I let this sit for 20 minutes and then go back over it, make sure that there's no missing oiled pieces, patches, but I think I got it. I'm gonna let it sit for 20 minutes. Okay, the next thing on the list today is a little bit of maintenance with this winch rope. This is a 60-foot piece of 7/16 winch rope from Safe Extract. It's been on the winch for a few years, and I think I've cleaned it once or twice, but it was really in need of some attention. And I recently replaced my winch, and it came with a new rope. Good luck seeing it. Anyways, I didn't want to take that off. I did, I made sure to attach it to the drum securely without the little bolt that comes with it. I mean, actually tying it on, I can't remember the name of the hitch. It resembles a clove hitch. No, not clove hitch. Yeah, clove hitch. I washed the winch rope. And when I wash my winch rope, I just use a bucket with some cold water, warm water. In Arizona right now, and there's nothing cold. So just anyways, got it rinsed. It's still drying, it's almost dry. But when it's dry, I did decide that I'm gonna use this winch rope as a winch rope extension. I already have one, but now this will be a second. And that way I'll have some more winch line. This is 60 feet. It already has a nice loop on one side. So what I'm gonna do on the other end is I'm going to create a loop on the end of this, and I'm gonna use what's called a locked Brummel to make a loop in the end of this thing, and I'll show you how to do that. We're gonna take this winch rope here, and we're gonna put a 4-inch eyelet in it on the other end of it. And what we're gonna use is something called a locked Brummel Splice. Blah, blah, blah. I've used this in the past, it's worked well. And so let's see how it goes. All right, first thing that we have to do is make a taper in the end of this winch rope, because that's what's gonna make burying this winch rope much easier. So what we're gonna do is I marked it 1 inch back from the end, and I'm gonna pull out 2 strands. At that level there. And then I'm gonna skip a pair. So there's the first pair here. I'm gonna skip a pair, go to the next pair, pull those out. And the idea with this is we're making a taper on the end of the winch line, which is gonna make it easier to bury. I am gonna use a fid as well. Then I'm gonna skip a pair, go to the next pair, and pull those out. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, now I'm going to cut all those off with my handy dandy Leatherman scissors. These things are sharp as can be. Okay, so now we end up with a taper like that. I have seen some different sources as to how much of a lead of rope you should use to bury. I've seen 16 inches, 18 inches. I've seen the bury included as part of, the taper included as part of that. I've heard 3 fid lengths. I've heard 2 fid lengths. What I've done in the past is gone to the end of the taper and then measure 16 inches, and then that's what I'm going to bury. Plus, you want to add the length of rope that you need to make your loop, which is a 4-inch loop, so we're going to add 9 inches. So from the end of this taper, I'm going to measure 16 inches. I've forgotten how long the fid is, but you could use the length of the fid. 2 fid lengths. Okay, plus 9 inches for the length of the loop that we're going to make. Okay, there we go. All right, so now at our mark here and here, that's the size of our loop at 9 inches. We're basically going to pull the winch rope through itself. It makes sense to turn it inside out, if that makes sense. And I'm going to use my fid here to do this. Put the taper inside the fid. So I got that. And I'm going to go to my mark here divide those winch strands, and then I'm just gonna turn it inside out on itself. And then we're gonna do the same thing at that other mark right there. Gonna divide those strands in half, and we're gonna feed the fid through. If you've got a rope that's really new or hasn't seen a lot of use, this is gonna be kind of difficult because the rope is gonna be really, well, new. All right, so now we have that, and we have that. Okay, so before we go to the next part, let's review what we did so far. So we went an inch back from the end of the rope, pulled 2 strands, skipped a strand, pulled the next set of strands out, skipped a strand, pulled the next set of strands out, so I have a tapered end. Put the fid on. And then from the end of the taper, my berry is 16 inches long, plus 9 more inches for the 4-inch loop that I'm creating. And then I basically turn the winch rope around on itself here and right here. So that's where we are now. Now, the next thing we do is we're going to create the loop. And we have to take this strand of rope and push it through our first hole. And this is hard to do. Let me get that through, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I got it through. I managed to get the second spot, my third mark for the rest of my loop. I got that through as well. And now I need to do the same thing that I just did here. I'm going to put this end of the rope through that hole. Okay? I did have to work on it because it is kind of hard to do. So let me get that through there, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I got it through. There's my new loop. And so that's called a locked Brummel splice. And now I can take my berry here, and I can bury it in the rest of the winch rope, and then it'll leave me with this fixed eye down here at the end, okay? So let's go ahead and get that started. All right, so I'm still using my fid. There we go. How far long is that fid, by the way? I just forgot to check. Fid is 7 inches long, so, okay. So now I'm gonna bury it. I'm gonna split the strands here. Maybe open up the line a little bit. And I'm gonna insert my fid right into the rope. And I want it to go right down the middle of the rope. If you've done this before, it does take a little bit of patience. And to keep it right down the middle, you might open up the winch rope a little bit just by kind of squeezing it. And the idea is to get this far enough up the rope that your berry gets buried, buried, inside the winch rope. And then if you remember, with winch rope, when you get it tight, it's like one of those finger traps. It tends to tighten down on itself, and it makes it really hard for it to come apart. So with the locked Brummel splice, it'll stay together. Now where this is useful is I only have access to one end of the rope. If I were to do this another way, I'd have to have access to both ends of the rope, and consider doing a locking splice with another piece of material like paracord or string or something. And if you're out on the trail and you, let's say you've cut your rope at the thimble and you wanted to repair that, you could do this on the trail if you have a fid. Well, I guess you don't really need a fid either. You could just do a nice taper and it would be enough. But the fid does make it helpful for sure. All right, so I've got it buried. I'm just working on pulling it all the way up. You kind of work that down until it gets almost completely buried in the rope. Uh-oh, I got my fid popped out. A little premature. It's a premature fitting. Okay, let's just see if I got it down there far enough. Okay, we're just pulling that winch rope down. We're gonna grab a hold of the eye now. Pull it through. Open up the fid, pull the rope out. And then we're going to take a hold of the loop and that and pull. And then if we did it right, it should be completely buried in the rope. Just like that. Now I got a nice fixed loop at the end. Now if I were to connect this to another rope, I could use soft shackle to connect it or what have you, but now I got a fixed loop, locked Brummel buried into the rope here. And I can kind of feel that's where the bury ends right there. I got an odd stitch here, odd strand here, but I don't know what I did with that. I guess I could take it all apart and do it again. I might, but I'm happy with that. It's going to be nice and strong. That's all for today, really. Anyhow, thanks you so much for. Oh, one more thing. I almost forgot. I wanted to share with you a new product that I found. And it's from a company called Cliq. C-L-I-Q. They make camp chairs. This one is called the Mystique Lounge Chair. This is how big it is compared to what I had before. And it is easy to set up. If I can get past the zipper. I got the label stuck in it. What I realized on the Nevada BDR was the chair that I was taking with me was just insanely too big and it was too cumbersome and I needed something small. And so this is where I came across Cliq. Okay, snap that out. That's that. That's the bottom part of it. And then here's the backrest. There's one. There's two snaps. So there you go. Super small, super lightweight, super easy. Camera's all cattywampus. There it is. Super lightweight, super easy, oh, super comfortable. And it packs nicely in the Jeep. I'm really happy about this. I do have a promo code for you if you'd like to get a Cliq chair. It's TRL, and if you use TRL at checkout, it'll save you 10% on a new Cliq chair. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, click the like, consider subscribing, maybe a share, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.